Good morning, dear friends. What a blessing to be here with you today. And today we continue our study of the book Green Light by the Spirit Andrea Luis through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Every week we are discussing and bringing to our attention this beautiful book, which are short chapters teaching. If we are being very, very honest, this book does teach us how to live in society, how to deal with the different issues we encounter in this lifetime while fulfilling the law of society and being together in the world through manual for the soul in combination with all of the other books of Andrea Luis, and also Food in Life by Emmanuel is another one that comes to mind. Chapter 11 is what we're going to be talking today. In chapter 11, I'm going to post here for those who arrive later, it's talking about business and cooperation would be our encounter with ways we consume services and things, and also we provide services and goods to one another. So there's daily exchange in different aspects of our life. Beautiful chapter. Andrea Luis says business is also a school of fraternity. So when we are out there in the world and I need to consume something, let's say, for example, give you a silly example. I need to buy my microphone for this broadcast. I might be going to a store. I might be conducting my business online, which is likely these days. Then he's saying this exchange, commerce is the word he used in Portuguese, is a school fraternity. That's just as the home is the school for the soul. So when we are out in the world interacting with one another, we always have the opportunity of learning. So far, you and I have seen many ways with the Spirit Andrea Luis where we go about our day. So he talked about waking up, greeting one another, controlling our voices at home, amongst couples, difficult relatives, in a home environment, introducing one another while we're walking around on the street. Today is when we are interacting with one another to exchange goods or services. So the school fraternity, always an opportunity of service. He says, we really do need to pay attention. We really do need attention from the sellers, the people who are selling or providing goods. However, they expect the same attitude from us. And remember, we always have this opportunity of seeing ourselves through the eyes of others. So if you were the one who's selling or providing a service, let's say you go into a grocery store and you are the one stocking the shelves and a customer comes to you and asks for a product. Now you can turn around and maybe you're the customer asking that person for the product who is working. It's very important that we understand that today we are in a position of consuming, tomorrow we may be providing services. It's a very important facet of this chapter is that he's saying how the manner in which we interact with one another while being part of the economy that is our creation here on the earth, this exchange of goods matters. So I cannot go around, of course, we're always going to bring this up to who we are, what are we doing, right? We want to be mindful of applying these teachings, plugging it out to what's relevant to our situation. In the same way, in chapter 3, he talked about controlling our voice. He's going to bring that attention to the tone of voice, the emotions we are passing, the way we ask and interact and think about doing things together. He says, in the presence of tired or irritated cashiers or shop assistants, let us take into consideration their commitments or their trials with regards to families without denying them respect and kindness. So let's say we encounter someone, we are going about a coffee shop. We stop at a coffee shop on our way to work, and they're irritated. They may be tired. They may be their third shift. They may have a sick relative at home. They themselves may be sick. We need to be mindful that he says, don't deny them respect and kindness, because perhaps you might be the first person that day to consider that, looking in that person's eye and say, I see you. With your mind, you don't have to say it out loud, but with your mind, with your heart, you can send loving vibrations to that person so that they can feel loved. And that might brighten their days. He says, if someone shows him or herself in a bad mood in his or her relationship with the public, probably they carry a great deal of preoccupations and sickness. Same thing. Imagine if you are the one at your job, at your school, at your home, and you are tired and exhausted, and now you have to still give, still put on a face and know that that's your duty to provide that service. Maybe you have your preoccupations, you have someone in your family that is ill, maybe you have a disease. So when someone is showing themselves in a foul mood, perhaps they have those preoccupations and sickness as well. He continues, quote, if one uses aggressive means to open paths, so if you're aggressive towards them, it is not only lack of education, but also discourtesy, which we would translate as rudeness, right? We are not being kind or unkind to one another. So if we encounter someone who is not as pleasant as we wish they were in the conduction of their businesses or their duties, replying on the same tone, he says, it's not only lack of education, but also discourtesy, lack of courtesy. We have to go back now to and he's going to bring this up a little bit here later. When we are studying, for example, the books of Emmanuel, even the previous book we studied here was the book Calmness by Emmanuel, especially the book Thought in Life. You're going to learn that your thoughts create your life. So what you think, how you feel about that thought, how you express your emotions, that become ideas that ultimately become what we do in the world, our actions. So when we enter a situation when someone is irritated or in a bad mood, then we need to be mindful enough not to enter into that vibrational attunement and become rude and irritated as well. So we cannot reply on the same token, because that's part of what we see if you walk around is this aggressiveness, the lack of kindness, the idea that I'm entitled to have everything in milliseconds, the busyness and addiction to busyness and doing and doing and doing. We're never being and being mindful and kind. That's how we can actually bring the gospel of Jesus into our daily lives, because reading this and knowing is very important. More importantly is taking these as you go about your day to day and applying it next time you go pick up the dry cleaning, pick up your child at school, pick up your car at the shop, going to the grocery store, whatever your interactions in this economy of exchanging goods and providing services as well, because we always want to be treated well, so therefore we have to treat others well. And he's going to give a couple of examples here. Giving the right of the way in a public transport or in an elevator, allowing other people to go first is a way of expressing understanding and kindness. Maybe they are in a more hurry than we are. Learning how to ask politely those who work in offices, shops, or restaurants is an obligation. So he's not saying it's just recommended. He uses the word obligation. We are obliged to care and be kind to one another. And that's the invitation today. How are we going to learn to be kind, polite, understanding? The same way we want all of those to be addressed to us. Another very important topic, because sometimes we fall into a habit of being cracking jokes and being unpleasant. So he's gonna say how important it is that we don't do that, or being sarcastic or skeptical. He says, avoid bad taste jokes, recognizing that words produce images and images support actions. So when we are talking to people and we paint an image of a world on its way to regeneration, then we can bring this image of peace, this image of kindness, this image of helping one another, versus if I bring someone an image of destruction, an image of aggressiveness. So if I describe vividly details of aggressiveness, then they leave the conversation. We speak in words, but our minds create images with the words. Visualize a situation where someone told you something and you visualize that image, and that was imprinted in you. And that's why it's important when we are here, when we are at home, at our spiritual centers, when we're talking to people, when we're creating content, that we bring them into this state of mind. What kind of mental images we are creating with our words? If we focus on the negative, most likely they will leave the conversation with negative mental images. And then they will go and think about that, and now that could affect the way they see and do things in the world. Andrea Luiz continues, quote, irritation and mockery only worsen situations without solving any problems, unquote. How many times we fall into irritation, mockery, and sarcasm? A lot of sarcasm going on these days, a lot of irritation, a lot of ways we feel that our way is the best, that I need to be first, that I need to be served, instead of seeing an attitude, I'm here, I'm also on the earth, a planet of trials and expiations, where I'm here to help and learn to serve one another. He says, let's say you didn't get what you needed. He will say, quote, if you need to complain about something, do it without being aggressive, unquote. There is a way to bring about concerns that are not aggressive. I'll teach you one right now that comes from healthcare. This is what I see. This is what I'm concerned about. This is my request. This is what I would like you to do. It's called the 3 whys. That as a scientist in a hospital, that's how we train to be kind and thoughtful to one another. So that I say, this is what I observed. This is what my dinner was like. I am concerned that I will have foodborne illnesses. This is what I would like you to do. 3 whys. What I see, what I'm concerned about, and my request, what I'm asking someone to do. And so there are ways to complain, in a sense, not complain, but bring about an opportunity for improvement. Because if someone came to you and complained about what you did, you wouldn't feel good. So why are we doing that to one another? He continues, quote, other people's mistakes could perhaps be ours if we were in their shoes, unquote. If we were the server that let something fall on the ground, maybe we would want people to be kind to us. If we were the cashier at a huge marketplace where there's only one of us and 100 customers, perhaps we would like the customers to be mindful and and kind towards us because there's only one of us for 100 customers. So on. So it's very simple examples of how you and I have to live in this world. And last but not least, he says, quote, affability means charity in dealing with people, unquote. And remember, dear friends, these studies will be available to you for you to listen to it again. Please write your comments and questions. Do you have anything? Were you able to practice affability, kindness, understanding throughout our day? Did these ideas of how to interact in this world? Remember, there are things, I'm not talking about excessive consumption in commerce. I'm talking about we are in this world. There are things that we need, and there are things we want to do mindfully so that every single minute can be that school of fraternity André Luiz brings in the beginning of this chapter. He says, business is also a school of fraternity. We are in this world. There are things we need, such as the microphone that is picking up my voice and bringing it to you, or the camera or the computer. But there are ways that I can go about acquiring what I need, not excess, what you need. Then I can bring these teachings to my daily lives. As a bonus, I'm going to recommend that you read the book Jesus in the Home by Neil Lucio, which is not next to me, The Foreign Life is, but usually I have the book Jesus in the Home. It's a great book that teaches you how Jesus looked at folks, how Jesus treated his apostles and the people who followed him closely, including their family members and wives, how he looked at people, how he was doing, how he practiced charity with the kindness in his eye, with his loving smile, when he was able to bring that those examples of affability to teach us how it is that we will one day have the prevailing attitude on the earth is of one of kindness, one of understanding, because aggressiveness, rudeness, this eye for an eye, where if someone is irritated, I shoot back the same way. The language that we use with one another, that is going to be long gone once the earth goes through the law of progress and becomes a world of regeneration, and then a joyful world, and then the divine world, right? Because we are evolving. It's the law. We can stagnate a little bit, but then we are using this teaching, such as the book Green Light, to one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, to be able to climb that ladder towards the hierarchy of the spirits, where we are kinder and nicer. And one day, after many, many lifetimes and reincarnations, depending on how fast or slow we go, we'll become a superior spirit as well, serving completely different way than we serve today. Dear friends, thank you so very much for your attention, for your kindness, for your beautiful thoughts. Keep going. Share this with someone who would like, who needs that reminder today. And then, God willing, I will see you next week with another chapter from the book Green Light. Until then, have a blessed week. I'll see you soon.